Hi everyone, just going to give it a few seconds to let everybody join the video. There we go. Hello everyone. So welcome to our MOOC this evening. I'm really pleased to have you back for session 4 of our Intro to Interactive Websites MOOC. And as always, this MOOC is kindly sponsored by EKO. So backstage, you have me, Marge, your CFG brand ambassador. As always, if you have any questions about Code First Girls or this MOOC in particular, pop your questions in the YouTube chat and I'll do my best to reply during the live session. If I'm not able to answer any of your questions during the live session, I will do my best to follow up on Slack. I've already posted the link to the Slack workspace in the comments. If you haven't joined, I really would recommend it. In the Slack workspace, you'll have access to the slide decks and the quizzes for each session, as well as any additional materials. And you'll also be able to reach out to our technical instructor, Jean Mark, and ask any questions or reach out to the CFG programs team. After this session, you'll receive an email with a link to a quiz, as always. In order to be certified at the end of the MOOC sprint, you will need to have completed and passed all 4 of the quizzes. These will also be shared in the Slack workspace, so another good reason to join. If you want to refer back to this YouTube video, you'll be able to by visiting the same YouTube link bookmarked in the announcements channel. And now, I want to say, first of all, I've already said it, but a huge thank you to EKO for sponsoring this Intro to Interactive Websites MOOC Sprint and Challenge. We have an exciting guest with us today. Veronica is here tonight as the representative from the Defence Nuclear Enterprise, or DNE, and the DNE are the sponsors for this event. EKO is the brand identity for the DNE, which consists of several organizations in the nuclear sector. So I'm going to hand it over to Veronica now.
As was mentioned, I'm Veronica, and I represent the Defence Nuclear Enterprise, and we're really excited to be part of this initiative to sponsor this event. So the question may be, who or what is EKO? As was mentioned, EKO is the corporate branding name for the Defence Nuclear Enterprise, and we've deliberately provided a separate corporate identity to ensure that we can get maximum traction to our target audiences. And our target audiences consist of young people from the age of 8 upwards, to enable them to have exciting opportunities through STEM learning to be able to think about STEM as a career choice and also for options in schools. So one of the ways in which we're trying to achieve that aim is to have a multiple layer of different activities across the STEM spectrum. And so, for example, this session here tonight aimed at cyber and developing your cyber skills or coding skills, which will enable you again to have a better opportunity to apply for jobs, whether that's in the defence nuclear sector or in other organisations. So who is Defence Nuclear Organisation and also the Defence Nuclear Enterprise? Defence Nuclear Enterprise consists of several organisations which are in the private and public sector. And in the public sector, there are civil service MOD organisations, which includes Defence Nuclear Organisation, DES, which is Defence Equipment Support, UK Stratcom, and we also have the likes of Babcock, Rolls-Royce, BAE Systems. So there's a wide range of organisations to help support what we're trying to achieve. What we will be doing in terms of scaling up our opportunities is looking at ways in which we can attract the future workforce, and that future workforce potentially could be you. So as we develop our offer and as we develop in the area of cyber and IT, you will be able to search for those options on a variety of platforms. So in the first instance, there is civil service jobs where most of the civil service opportunities will be promoted. In addition to that, you can have the opportunity to go directly to the organisation's websites, which I've just referred to. But in the coming months, we will have our own website where we'll house a range of different activities and also information for young people, teachers, parents, to enable them to have a better understanding in terms of what we're doing and how we propose to work along with the sector, with schools, colleges, universities in the D&E footprint. And the D&E footprint is quite wide. We range from Scotland, way up in the north, right down to Plymouth and Portsmouth in the south. So will be various opportunities in terms of career choices, in the coming months and also years as we develop the infrastructure for the new workforce. And that new workforce will potentially be apprenticeship opportunities, graduate opportunities, STEM returners, for example, women who are returning to the workplace, career changes, such as those who are in the military services. So we are building up what those opportunities will look like. And we are ensuring that through our various platforms, you will be able to see those opportunities over the coming months and years as well. So today's opportunity for coding cyber enables you to get some insight in terms of what does that mean, how can you hone in your skills, and also at a later point in time, build your confidence, knowledge, and experience in this particular area. Even more so, we will have opportunities as we scale up for cyber and coding as we develop those, as mentioned, in the coming years. So great to be part of this initiative. It's our first opportunity in coding. And as I mentioned, we will have a different range of opportunities for younger people, from 8 upwards, and also opportunities through this program, through the mooches and challenges. So I'm excited to see what you can do. I'm excited to see what you can do as part of the challenge too. And I hope to see as many of you as possible at the end of the sprint and also for the challenge. So thank you very much for participating. And I hope you really enjoy the EKO sponsorship through this program. And we look forward to hearing your feedback. So back to you, Marge.
Thank you so much, Veronica. That sounds like a lot of really amazing opportunities, and with EKO. And yeah, absolutely. Just to reiterate, we're really excited and hope you can participate in the challenge whenever we come to that. So thanks very much for joining. We'll get on to the main event then. So I'm going to hand it over to Jean Mark, your lead technical instructor, to kick off today's session. Over to you, Jean Mark.
Yes, greetings to you all. How are we all doing today? Once again, a special thanks to Veronica and the awesome team at EKO, our sponsors, for how they're helping to fund this initiative. And we look forward to getting better with this approach focused on STEM learning, in particular today, cybersecurity. Okay, so the whole cyberspace, the whole tech space. So to continue on, we've been looking at front-end and interactive websites. So allow me to share my screen and dive right into the code. And we're going to look at session 4. If you haven't watched the previous sessions, the good thing is they're always saved on YouTube. There are links to the separate channels, and we shall be sharing them on the Slack channels. So for today, we're diving into session 4. You see, we have looked at HTML, which is the basic backbone of websites, the structural framework and integrity, like how you'd have a house and you'd look at the walls and the ceiling, just the basics. So in a human body, that would be the skeletal structure. CSS was session 2, where we saw how to add beauty and spacing, colors, like how you'd paint a house, looking into interior design. If you're looking at a house setting, if it's a person, things like makeup, things like color, positioning. Session 3, JavaScript, we saw interactivity. How if you have a house, when you click, actually better than that, when you switch on, by flicking a switch, you can turn on the lights, or you can clap for a modern house. That's all interactivity. With websites, you click here, something happens, you click a button, you fill in a form and you click, your data moves. That's how you interact with websites. Today we're looking into something a bit deeper, but it fits in with all the others. How are we going to improve what we like to, as tech is referred to, UX, the user experience? So a small look into our agenda for today. We're going to see what exactly a sitemap is and what is the user journey. Different users, what steps do they take? What do they go through? A sitemap is like an overview from which page to which page. What does it all look like? Okay. Not like the geography in school of a pictorial view of something as seen from above, but here it's just a simple dive into the overall structure of the page and how we're going to go through the pages. Color contrasts, yes, this is very key. More so concerning accessibility. If you have differently abled people, how are we going to see the screen? Is it going to be easy to see the color contrast? For example, how black and white is easy to see. Pink on white and black on white is easier to see. How would green on white look? So we have to learn how to match our colors well to give out that nice user experience and have a beautiful user interface. User interface is UI and UX go together. Alternative text, whenever we have our images and aria tags, all of this is under accessibility. Finally, search engine optimization. If you go and do a Google search, how do you make it such that your website appears at the top? There's some few things that you have to follow. There are some guidelines and principles to make you have a good website, so that you're one of the first results that's hit if someone has done, for, say, a Google search and searched in for a few keywords, and your website also handles. So let's start off with the user journey. Now, Simon Sinek says it's always good to start with why. Why exactly should you actually be thinking about the user journey? It's always nice when you see that someone has made a website. From an engineering perspective, a lot of thought has gone to it. We even have some things that we call user stories and use cases, where you imagine who exactly is my target audience and how are they going to be interacting with my website? And you try to think of different people. So you have different major use cases. Maybe you have someone who is an administrator, you have someone who's a basic user. Or if it is, for example, the CFG website, you have an instructor. What should the instructor see on the site? What should a sponsor like Veronica see on the site? What should a student see on the site? So you have to think about who are my different users and how best should I make information easy to access for them, easy to reach, easy to follow. You don't need to think about it too much, but you need to plan for it. I need to focus on their navigation. How will they get from step A to point A to point B? Case in point, the CFG website, we have the majority and the most important. Those are our new or existing learners. Then we have the instructors. These are different examples of users of the CFG website. And we have our industry partners, like our sponsors, EKO. So if we have these three different users, we have to think about concerning them. Now, if it is a new learner, what are their goals? They want to learn more about CFG, that's a key goal. And they want to sign up to begin a course easily. So we have to make these two goals easily reachable. We have to consider some user journey we can see from the main page. If the goal is to learn more about CFG, it's going to take us to the About Us page to enable us to explore the whole site. If this was the goal, if the goal was to sign up to the beginner course, from the main page, you click on that I am a learner button, there'll be a click to scroll to see the MOOCs. And after there, you can read and look through upcoming MOOCs and decide the one that you want to look at. So it's nice. It's also nice to actually open the site while considering this. And we see. Here's the mention of cookies, but we consider as you look through, are you an employer or are you a learner? Based off your clicks, you're going to see different things. If you're a learner, you're going to come and have a look at the different courses, the beginner courses to the advanced courses concerning the MOOCs. See, our MOOCs are here. So that way it was very easy to decipher and focus based on the type of user. Now, most of us have never clicked the I'm an employer bit, but if you were, you'd come to part of the page you never come to, focusing on partnering with us, looking at, and are you a company? Are you a university? How exactly would you like to partner? Would you like to help to fund some of these different courses? Would you like to hire people from these courses? So all these options come based off of your goals. So that is key. It's really important to think of the different type of users you're going to have in your site and how to design for them. So now, second bit, sitemaps. So what exactly a sitemap is? Think about a map, but think about, normally you have a map, let's say of a particular location, a map of a city, map of a country, the map of the world. A map is just something that helps you get from point A to point B. So you're considering a sitemap for your website, you're considering how someone is going to move from one page to another. So different pages and files, you're going to look at their relationships. It helps you to structure and plan for your website accordingly. It can be in XML. You have seen HTML. So XML is just extensible markup language. But HTML is hypertext markup language, and XML is extensible markup language. So it looks a bit like HTML. It's also made up of tags, opening and closing tags. So you can write your sitemap in that type of file with opening and closing tags like HTML, or in a simple plain .txt in a normal text file. The visual ones are really beautiful. They help with easy planning. And yeah, so that your search engine optimization can be good. The search engines actually look through this file. They call it web crawling. They take a sneak peek and it gives them a nice quick virtual tour of your site to see how highly it will rank, because the way search engine optimization works, if you have a good site that is accessible, you get a higher ranking on the search. If it's designed for inclusion, I'm going to show you all of these bits. Don't concern yourself so much with the terms, but just in summary, a lot of this lesson concerning user experience is concerning accessibility. And what accessibility is in a nutshell is you want a site that can be used by people from all different walks of life or any different, it's built for inclusion in case of any differently abled people, any different or disabilities, if you really call them that, but in case of any challenges, any medical challenges, they should still be able to use and enjoy your website. If you've noticed, for example, websites like LinkedIn have a sound feature. When you click some buttons, you can hear some sound. Other times, you want to have those good color contrasts that even if someone is a bit partially blind, they can tell a difference. They can easily navigate and see. Or you want to have alt text for your images, so that if someone can't see, a screen reader can read to the person viewing your site and mention what exactly is being seen. So all of that comes into play with user experience. So this is a nice example of a visual sitemap. The visual ones are quite easy to see. You can see that the first page is the home page. From it, you can either go to a project one deep dive, a separate project deep dive, or an add new project form. Let's imagine we're calling this a portfolio website. So this is your website that lists your projects, what you've worked on. So you have your homepage that maybe introduces yourself and tells about yourself and lists some of your projects. Let's say you have two projects right now, project one and project two. So when you click on those deep dive projects, they're going to show you the tools that you did. Let's imagine the projects could be like websites that you've made in your different courses. So this could be a website from class one. So maybe your tool was HTML, implementation and future changes or improvements you're going to make. Project two deep dive, maybe here the tools were both HTML and CSS. Implementation, you can talk about how you used classes and IDs to style it. Future improvements, for example, making it responsive. So let's imagine project 3 is going to be your JavaScript project, but now you have a form, you have a button that clicks to adding a new project, and on and on. So this is a very nice example of a visual sitemap. It's easy to see what leads to another page. There is another type of sitemap, okay, that can be made using extensible markup language, XML file. Although these different sites have these nice drawing softwares that actually help you to create visual sitemaps. So it's nice to come and just stream through. You're going to need to sign up. They are normally nice small tutorials. So you just move through and you make one. There's no need to take time on showing you how to do this one. You just look at different options. That was the Miro.com one. You have the Miro.co that comes with different templates. Quite similar again. You just sign up. This one is even free forever. And you come and look through. It's answering the common questions, the why, the what, the how, the who, how to set it up. You're going to list the type of pages you need and categories you need, connecting them with arrows, and it's going to help you to draw. So this is a good tool just to come and try out in your own time. Good thing is it is in the notes. Just come and have a go. Concerning the XML file, what they're telling you is there's this tool, Sitemap Generator VS Code plugin. Now we have seen plugins before. Let me fire up VS Code here on the side. So right now I am on the desktop, and last time in session 3 we looked at interactivity. So this particular folder is what is open with VS Code. That's why you're seeing these files. Although I just put a little bit of sample text at the end with links to these pages. It was a very basic website for simplicity, but just to show you navigation between sites, and even take you back as you remember, and a bit of buttons, showing you some little bit of JavaScript. But let's imagine this is our file. So if you wanted to make a sitemap, let's say, it's a bit more beautiful ones in the past, but this is just basic, just showing you a little bit of button interactivity. This is the tab that deals with extensions, this icon here. So when you click this icon, you come and search. So there's an extension for generating sitemaps. When you come and search for sitemap, okay, it's showing us multiple options, sitemap generator. So let's first come back to the notes and find the perfect one that we're going to use. There's this plugin here. Actually, we are supposed to install the sitemap generator made by Niels Soderman. So come and have a look. We have searched. The names are at the bottom. This one here by Niels Soderman, who is verified. So come and we install this. And sometimes a lot of coding is following instructions and paying attention to details. So here we're told to open a project we're working on. From the sidebar, find the extension tab. That is this one that I've been looking at. It's the extension tab. We're being told to install the sitemap generator by Niels Soderman that we have. So open view and go to the command palette. So just follow instructions. So the view icon is here. I wonder whether you can see this well. This is the command palette. And when we are there, we're supposed to run sitemap generator, new sitemap. Can we even just view command palette? Select where to save. The sitemap is ready. Let's save it as sitemap.xml in our document. Create the sitemap. So when it's ready, it's going to end up saving it within this file. Oh, sorry. So the last bits, you're being told to provide a file name, use HTTPS. This is the hypertext transfer protocol. And the S is for the secure. Sometimes on sites you see, when you're doing let's say a Google search or something, when you're up here, searching EKO, see when you come and see okay, this is a bit hard for you to see. I'm increasing the size, but it's not showing you in the tab. But in the tab here at the very beginning, HTTPS is secured. So transfer, but if it's just HTTP, it wouldn't be safe. All the good thing is here, it changes automatically. So HTTPS is just secured. Hypertext, it's just a protocol for how you send information over the internet. So here we're looking at a domain name. That's where like your site will be hosted. For example, how you have, I know you've seen different sites with .com, but domain name you can be considering if, for example, where is our CFG site, codefirstgirls.com. So you're showing us the different bits that we'd put as we're making our sitemap. It's important to plan for these for the future. We don't have them now, but in the future they'll be there. And this is an example of what a sitemap will look like. It's called a .xml file for extensible markup language. So XML tag opens. Okay, I'm not showing the closing tag, but it also needs to close. URL set. Then what you're seeing right now, this is for example the sitemap for the CFG page. So there's cfgportfolio.com, project 1, index, form, cookies. This is for the example project that they have made, not the real actual page, but for the example one, they're saying project 1, index, form. This is how the XML would look. But just for ease, it's easier to use these kind of sitemaps, which are visual. Someone can see them more quickly and understand more quickly. So once again, for those, you just have to, not so Moro does them better, but just check out these two and follow instructions. So accessibility, which is a major focus for our user experience, as we've been discussing before. Again, like Simon Sinek mentions, we should start with why. So why exactly are we thinking about accessibility? Like I mentioned before, disabilities or differently abled people. We want them to also enjoy your beautiful websites that you make. So you may have all sorts of different kind of medical issues. For example, if they have a bit of impartial hearing, websites that have sound effects, for them they may need to see something else. That's why you can imagine sometimes when you click on a link or you hover over, the color changes. On click, something else happens. That's visual. Show those who can't hear. For those who may be partially colorblind or fully blind, the screen readers to read for them, and you think about the contrasting colors. Then we also we have to consider, apart from disabilities and inclusion-based design, building for all people, all walks, we have to consider the different devices. According to research, most people access web browsers and websites on mobile phones. So you have to wonder, how will my site look on a mobile phone? And how will it look on a laptop? You have to consider, is someone left-handed or right-handed? What will be easier for them to click? What will be in their easy range and hard range? What point will my buttons be? Yeah, you have to consider socioeconomic differences. For example, is there a paywall functionality? Are there some people who have to pay to access some of the things that you offer? Are there things which are exclusive? Is there, okay, if you're a paid site, do you have a portion that's for free that other people can also access? And perhaps from a business perspective, entice them to later on pay. And you have to consider your payment gateways. Do they work in most countries? For example, there are some countries in Africa, like the one I'm currently in, Uganda, paywall isn't currently working. So sorry, should not paywall. PayPal doesn't work here. So sometimes you have to consider who is your target audience. How do you reach the most people? Are you going to use Visa? Because Visa is in many places. Are you going to consider different options? Because we don't want to limit the access or engagement on our site. Want it to be accessible as possible to cater for almost everyone. And yeah, there's this Equality Act that has a detailed list on all disabilities. So it's important to have a look and understand. You can go through in your own free time and have a go, get a deeper understanding of your target audience. So our focus, for example, is going to be on visual impairments and how to actually work with those. So color contrasts, and to make the slide show well. So color contrast, for example. Simply put, let's even just look right here. Look at the green text against the white screen. Look at the blue text. Just from what your eyes can tell, what is easier to read? The blue text over the green text. And you're seeing these different color ratios, the way that these colors work with each other. You see, green doesn't work so well with white, although it's still possible. Blue works much better. White on white is impossible to differentiate. It's so hard. Showing you this ratio of 1:1, we should never ever use. That's why you're seeing the 3x's. Black on white has one of the best ratios. Large and excellent. You can easily tell. When I read black on white, it's much easier to read than reading I am green text or I am blue text. So we have to look at how colors work with each other. You're seeing perceived luminance or brightness between two colors. You want to create a contrast. You want that easy to differentiate, so that even if someone is colorblind or very visually impaired, or they don't see, so at least they can't see the difference. Even dogs that apparently don't see in color, that are seeing a world of multiple shades of gray, can tell the difference between black and white. But between blue and green, it's not so easy. So we have to consider what are the ratios. And this site has so many guidelines concerning website accessibility and color contrast. You can look through and have a blast. You can learn so much about this. You see how we define colors. There's a difference of setting colors, even when you're looking inside your CSS. Colors are made from three. All colors in CSS are made from a combination of red, green, and blue, RGB, where 0 is the lowest number and 255 is the highest. So if you have RGB 255, 255, 255, that means you have everything of every color. I think that gives you white when all colors are mixed. Okay, the best way is to try. Sometimes I also forget, but it's nice to show you an actual sample of just how these colors are made and how they work. So let's imagine we were to make a small CSS file here just to show you style.css. And from the home page, actually from the index page that has all the links to the other pages, I'm going to make a link to the CSS. So let's see link, the full colors and CSS, style sheet and style.css. So we have a paragraph, right? Which we're calling interactive session. So if we come to our paragraph, let's remember this is how we style in CSS. If I give it a text color, actually, I'm going to give it to a text color RGB 000. What's that going to be when we come and have a look? So 000 is black. Yeah, we can see it here. Because the absence of all colors, it's 0 red, 0 green, and 0 blue. If I give it 255, so right now red is 255, green and blue are all 0. So the way it works now, I'm only mixing, it's like I've only poured red into it. That's what makes this color red. Showing how these colors work together. If I put both red and green, we get yellow. That's how but you see, yellow and white, the contrast is bad. Doesn't look good concerning accessibility. Has a really poor performance. And if I add one more color, the full, if I mix both a full of red, full of green, and a full of blue, I get white. And white on white, you must never use. We can't see anything here. That's what we're showing here in these particular slides, the color contrast. Just to show those who have not gone through the CSS lesson before, and today is their first time, simply put, when you have your HTML, you write your link with the full colon and CSS, and it's going to link to a style.css page, which if we're saving on the same folder level, and we have named it by default, it's good to name it style.css, because that's what HTML is going to link to by default. If you have a different name, you have to change the name. And if we're styling a paragraph, it's a P tag. This is how we write HTML with opening and closing tags. In our CSS, you just write the P, and you open and close these curly or squiggly brackets, and you choose a property. So we have color, and we also have background color. Let me change this color to be red. So for it to be red, I just have red, no zero, no, and background color, just to show you. Let's say if the background is black, there are no other colors. This is how it would look. And it's actually easy to see red on a black background. I think it's easier to see that than to see red on. This is called a comment when you put an asterisk, okay, like a forward slash and an asterisk. And then an asterisk and a forward slash. This is a comment, so this code is ignored. See, red on a white background doesn't look so good, but red against a black background looks much better. All right, and you don't always have to write your colors like this. Sometimes you can simply write red. I was just showing you how the colors are mixed together. You can see red and black. You get the same value, and you can play with your colors. You come and start clicking it. You can come and pick a particular value. You can see there. That won't look too good because it's close to red. So if the color contrasts, and when you come to sites like this one that we have shown, WebAIM, we focus on accessibility. You check out resources and projects. You can actually come and copy a link to your site. You can see. So we showed you how to do the RGB colors. There's also another way. We're calling it hexadecimal, where you have 6 values starting with a pound sign. So just make things interesting. I can show you. If I say pound sign 000, I mean this is almost the same as saying, let's put it here in the comments, saying RGB. That's teaching you a bit of a deeper dive into colors with 0, 0, 0. So you can work with 3 or with 6. If you're using 6, then 2, when you're using 6, 2 represent 1 when you're using 3. So that is the same as this. So F means like full. If the colors are full red, full green, and full blue, that is white. From when you mix all of the primary colors, that's what takes it back to. Where is our site? That's what takes the background color back to being white. So there are different ways that you can color in CSS. Don't get too hung up on them. Just trying to show you that you may come across code that looks different. There's even this other one that you're seeing here that's called HSL that focuses on the hue, the saturation, and the lightness map. Focusing on how people actually perceive colors with their eyes. in reality. So there's a lot of different ways of writing these colors. You can even add opacity, and it's a fraction of 1. So 0.5 something is half opacity. You can kind of see through it. If opacity is 1, you can't see through it at all. So you can see color ratios like we're trying to show you there in the text. At this point, the blue and the white and red, because this site, WebAIM, shows you all the differences. Pure red, ratio 4:1, pure green, 1:41, and pure blue, the ratio. So you just dive in a bit deeper, but the key thing is, so that you don't go down a rabbit hole learning too much about colors. The key thing is to think about what looks better, what looks, as you're contrasting your colors, what colors can work together. It's not so much like designing your wardrobe, but it's more about where is a stark difference, like white and black. Or like with our CFG site, we can see a black background, we can see pink text and white text. That works. So there's this color contrast checker plugin. So Google Chrome has these tools. So it checks how well colors are going to contrast on your site. So you install it, and then you go to a particular site. For example, we can go to the Code Pascal site, and we are going to check that extension. Sorry, when I make things bigger here, it's the page that gets bigger, but not these. But in your Google Chrome, you have these extensions at the top. So once we click on the extension, where we are now Code Pascal site, we can see that it passes. When the fonts are AA large, AAA large, AA, AAA, the background color and the foreground color, you can see here we're using the hashes, the hue, the saturation. So yeah, the color contrast checker has worked well with the CFG site. All I did was come and click the extension on the particular site, and it ran. So it's here, you just install it from Chrome, and you check out. You check ratios, and you see what you can learn. Even while building your portfolio, you can come and have a look at this. Color contrast.cc. Showing us the values of CFG, because it's what we were looking at before. But when you have actually begun, and yeah, when you began testing your site, if you have GitHub enabled and you actually have a link, you can try it out. Even as you're building in your if we put this one here where we haven't added any styles or anything, what would happen? Anyway, let us continue. So yeah, background color, text color, AA, 1 is the lowest score and 21 is the highest. So here, this particular page on these fonts, it's scored 6.31. Yeah, we saw it passing. Here for AAA normal, there was a fail, but other areas passed. So alt text. Now, whenever you have an image, it's very important to add this alt text, so that in case the image is broken or failing for one reason or another, most times with images, you can be getting them from links on certain separate websites or from databases. And in case something goes wrong, the alt text helps to display a message in place of what that image should have been. And even if the image is okay and working fine, I'm not for that issue, but the alt text helps with the screen readers. So for those who maybe cannot see, that maybe their visual disability, different ranges from being fully blind or to have some color blindness. They may not see your image well, but the screen reader can read out to them and tell them what that image is of. So alt text is really important for accessibility. So we mentioned the safety net, if it doesn't load, something wrong with the database or the link, and for accessibility with the screen readers. Now, you also need to use the aria tags. So yeah, in full, it is accessible, rich internet applications. Yes, it's a mouthful, but all it means, we're looking at the different roles and attributes that are going to help improve accessibility. You see what happens for those people who are differently abled, they have different tools that they use. We call it assistive technology that helps them to understand the whole makeup of your page. Example, if you have a button that maybe pops up a model, for someone else may have a hard time grasping what portion of the model the button is and what clicking the button offers as per a chain effect that change on the site. So simply put, these aria tags, they just help to supplement, they support your HTML, they make it easier for these assistive technology tools to work with people. And it's even easier to work with other systems. Sometimes the system communicates with other systems. Something we call APIs, which are like waiters, to roll out a simple analogy. If you want something, you issue what we call a GET request, like you do a Google search for something, and now that response that you get. So there are all these different tools you can look at to learn more about accessibility. That's better for during a personal dive. It's a really big topic, but really important to learn so that you can make the best websites possible. So please, yeah, dive into the different dev tools that you can use to test. Like how we have seen some Google Chrome extensions that help us to test the color contrast. Here you can read deeper into what accessibility is. Whenever you see this, developer.mozilla.org. So this is the documentation that we use for HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. What documentation is, simply put, it's one of the best places to learn about a language. So concerning HTML, CSS, JavaScript, the front-end web development languages, the docs on Mozilla, these developer docs on Mozilla are really important. So this is where you come and you learn a lot. You can read deeper into issues like accessibility. Just taking a sneak peek into that first one. For example, you can see how do we handle common accessibility problems. So you start looking through, it will explain what accessibility is. Again, people who are visually impaired, screen readers, or magnifying. In case someone is very short-sighted, how does your website make things bigger so that they can see? Or even while screen sharing, if someone has a smaller screen than others. Thinking about how someone will sit on a mobile, on a watch, TV. This is all accessibility. People that do not have the latest browsers, for example, people who may be, you have to design thinking about Mozilla, about Internet Explorer and some of the older values. Devices that have lower specs. So if someone has a very slow computer, is your website going to be heavy, or is it going to be light and quick at processing things? So you have to consider all those different things. Common issues, now like with HTML, you look at writing semantic or correct accessible HTML out of the box. That's like how you have alt tags on your images. So they're showing you some HTML here. See this font size 7? There's an X on that. That it's better, instead of having just font size 7, it's good to have your main heading should be an H1, your sub should be an H2, your different subs should be in H2s, you have your paragraphs. This is what they call semantically correct HTML. And this one that just has font size 7, my heading, a breaks, and font size 5. No, you're supposed to use the right tags, an H1 tag, a paragraph tag. So that's an example of accessibility. So you look through, you read through, even in your CSS, on hover, what's going to happen? When you hover over a thing, on focus, what should happen? So you have a mouse hover event where your mouse moves over something. Like here, I'm hovering over that. So you can see the change in that icon. So yeah, there's a lot you can learn about that. We've already covered accessibility, what it is, basic question. Also going to be on, so this is the Mozilla site, the docs. You can see you have documentation on HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. You've got web forms, working with data, and accessibility. That's what we're covering right now. Dev tools, common developer tools. You come and have a look. Can you navigate a page with a keyboard or screen reader? Yeah, what if your mouse isn't working? Can you just use buttons like tab, right, left, navigate a whole page? Those are interesting bits of pieces to consider, really making your page accessible. So even when auditing, you can see this Lighthouse panel tool. We check, is it well marked up for screen readers? A lot of this is just adding those alt tags on images. And does the text have a sufficient contrast ratio? Is your website more readable? So you keep going, you keep looking. What is the size of your text? What type of font are you using? What's the difference between your headings and your paragraphs? So there's a lot that you can look into here. The aria attributes of the element, like we looked into. So, like we said, not to dive into a rabbit hole, but this is like further studying. But as long as you've understood the key fundamentals of accessibility, you make it and you test it and you keep looking at how to improve. Now, search engine optimization. With this, like I said before, it's like the ranking. When you do a search, will your site appear in the top 5 or in the top 100? That's what I mean by the page ranking on Google. Some people can actually end up clicking it and visiting, having a look. So you look at your keywords in the page, your XML URL sitemap also being easy to crawl. If you have your sitemap, it also makes it easier. So keywords, you've been looking at your pages in HTML, and you, for example, see these meta tags. So what metadata is data about data. Sometimes you can even add into these meta tags, you can add the website author and other keywords, so that if those words are searched, then the site is going to appear at the top. So there are many different ways of improving your search engine optimization, and that's just one of them. So the focus here is on the technical one based off the website architecture. So even as you search engine quickly at a very rapid pace moves through your site and checks it out. If your links are far from the home page, they don't rank highly on the search engine. So you have to consider the structuring. You just need to be few links away from each other concerning this. It's good to have an XML sitemap like we saw. The other tool, you can easily make one, help you navigate. How are your URLs? Are they logically structured? Do they offer Google more content about each page as possible? Do they explain the pages? So it's nice. It's very nice to have those. You have to consider your URL is just, okay, you're going to have the name of your website, and then you're going to have like a /. When you look at what we call APIs, you don't want to dive too deep, but maybe you have different resources. Okay, first, of course, by default, it's good to have your index, your about page, your contact page. But let's imagine if your page is a different type of system that has different users, the way that your URLs correlate For example, users / okay, your APIs, the way they are designed, your links need to make sense, so to say. And there's really a lot here on SEO. I don't want to dive too deep, but there's a lot for you to learn. So for example, a very key thing is adding an image and alt text and testing out the visual accessibility with a color checker and making adjustments. So as per practice, I already have this site that we're looking at last week that had the simple JavaScript function. And when we click, shows the current date and time. So let's add an image. So as img and tab. So by default, we can see we have an alt and a source. Forgive me, I am a lover of puppies. Let's say we find some cute puppies. Just want to save image as. It's nice to save it in the actual folder of the project. I'm just going to call it, for example, just puppy.jpg. And here I can now see it. Puppy.jpg is part of the project. So under my image source, I list it, puppy, and autocompletes with tab.jpg. Alt, and say puppy picture. Important for the screen reader, so that in case the image is broken, but for now it isn't. If we come to our website, the puppy picture is here. But let's say I made a mistake and maybe I said puppy. I forgot the P. Although it isn't there, the alt text is going to show us puppy picture. So we're able to see that. And this also helps with the screen reader and accessibility. So let me just make it right. And even times just check to be sure that you've put the proper source. Like here, source main.js. First of all, you can see the underline. And if you can come and press Control and click to follow, to take you to the right file. That's another way of knowing that you have properly called the right source of the image. So the next thing we have to do is to check in a color checker. Okay, we have so many open. Okay, so I have passed here, and so far so good. Our website is passing. And even save the colors. So our simple puppy site is passing because it's mostly black on white. Sorry, the beauty wasn't the main focus of this particular lesson. That was in our CSS lesson earlier when you learned positioning and movement of elements. Although we have a minute left, we could still do a little bit of that. For example, our image in CSS, we could decide that for our image, we want to give it some bit of margin. Margin. Say it, for example, like 20 pixels. Margin all sides. It's going to be top, bottom, right, and left. To position it better so that you don't start seeing it under. And as that space on the left and the right, we could decide to give an image a border. No, we shouldn't. Just trying to show you a little bit of positioning, although we are caught out in time. As we have covered many things in this session, but just to conclude, here we're looking at the initial website of session 1. That's why you're just seeing the HTML, CSS, JavaScript, few final edits. But it's just about learning how to work with the tools concerning accessibility. In summary, we have seen how visual sitemaps help us to plan for our site, optimize the user journeys. We have seen the value of accessibility, not just visual impairments, but we need to be mindful about all different types. We've seen the color contrast. Our focus today was visual, so color contrast, alt text, and aria tags. And we've seen a little bit about search engine optimization. By writing semantically correct HTML and following through with all this, yeah, your site will appear on top. So thank you all for your time. Sorry, I got 1 minute past the time. And yeah, have yourselves an amazing evening. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everybody, for joining. Just a reminder that this is our last MOOC session. So we are completely done with all of these intro to JavaScript sessions. We do have the challenge kickoff, which will be on the 9th of August at 7:30 p.m. BST or British Summer Time. And hopefully we'll see you all there. So yes, as Jean Mark said, have a great week and we'll see you all very soon.
Thank you. Great week. See you soon. Happy coding.